Good day, everyone. The study of geography offers valuable insights into the relationship between human societies and the physical environment. It explores how natural landscapes, climate, and resources influence the development of cultures, economies, and political systems. Within this field, three important theories, environmental determinism, possibilism, and cultural adaptation, help explain the intricate ways in which humans interact with their surroundings. Environmental determinism is the belief that the physical environment, particularly climate and geography, strongly influences the development of human societies. It suggests that people's actions are largely shaped or limited by natural forces. A classic example is ancient Egypt, where the fertile Nile River Valley supported agriculture and led to the rise of a complex civilization. In the Philippine context, many early settlements were established near rivers, coastal areas, and fertile plains, such as in the provinces of Pampanga and Laguna. These locations offered access to water, food, and trade routes. Some environmental determinists argue that Filipinos living in typhoon-prone regions, like eastern Visayas and Batangas, tend to build sturdier homes and have strong community resilience because their lifestyle has been shaped by constant exposure to natural hazards. The Inca Empire flourished in the harsh mountainous terrain of the Andes in South America. Environmental determinism suggests that the high-altitude environment, with its limited arable land, forced the Incas to develop advanced agricultural techniques, such as terrace farming and irrigation. The challenging geography helped shape their social structure, as people had to work together to adapt to the environment's limitations. The harsh, cold, and rugged terrain of Northern Europe in the Viking era could have contributed to the Vikings' seafaring lifestyle. As the land was often difficult for large-scale agriculture, they turned to the sea for exploration, trade, and conquest. Environmental determinists might argue that the challenging landscape influenced the Vikings' culture of exploration and military expansion. Possibilism, on the other hand, argues that while the environment may present challenges, humans have the ability to adapt, modify, or even overcome these constraints through innovation, culture, and technology. In the Philippines, one clear example of possibilism is the Banao rice terraces in Ifugao. The mountainous terrain could have limited agricultural productivity, but the Ifugao people carved terraces into the steep slopes, allowing them to grow rice in an otherwise difficult environment. Another example is in Metro Manila, where despite poor drainage and frequent flooding, urban communities have built elevated walkways and developed flood warning systems to continue daily life. Singapore, an island nation with limited natural resources, has transformed from a small port city into a global financial hub. Despite its geographical constraints, the country has used technology, innovation, and effective urban planning to maximize land use, turning swamplands and small islands into thriving urban centers. This is a clear example of possibilism, where human choices and technological advancements have transcended natural limitations. Israel is located in a largely arid and desert region with limited water resources. However, through technological advancements, such as the development of irrigation techniques, the creation of desalination plants, and water recycling methods, Israel has managed to turn its deserts into productive agricultural lands. This showcases how human creativity and technological progress can overcome environmental challenges. Meanwhile, cultural adaptation refers to how people change their behaviors, practices, and traditions to survive and thrive in their environments. It highlights the ability of culture to evolve based on necessity. In the Philippines, communities living in coastal areas, like the Bajau people, have adapted to marine life by developing expertise in fishing, diving, and building stilt houses above water. In upland areas, indigenous groups such as the Aita and Lumad have adapted to forest environments by using medicinal plants, hunting, and practicing shifting cultivation. Moreover, Filipinos across the archipelago often adjust their daily routines based on the climate, such as taking siestas during hot afternoons or organizing community activities early in the morning to avoid extreme heat. The Sherpas of Nepal have adapted to the high-altitude conditions of the Himalayas by developing unique physiological traits, such as increased red blood cell count, to cope with low oxygen levels. They also wear specific types of clothing suited to the cold and perform physical activities like trekking and mountaineering to sustain their way of life. Their cultural practices and technological knowledge, such as climbing techniques and methods to survive at extreme altitudes, are examples of cultural adaptation to environmental challenges. Japan, being located on the Pacific Ring of Fire, is prone to earthquakes. Over the centuries, the Japanese have adapted culturally and technologically by developing earthquake-resistant architecture, strict building codes, and early warning systems. Their traditions, such as the practice of seismic engineering, reflect a cultural response to the persistent natural threat posed by earthquakes. On the other hand, globalization, cultural imperialism, and resistance are deeply intertwined with environmental determinism, possibilism, and cultural adaptation. Geography teaches us that while physical environments and global systems exert powerful influence, human creativity, resilience, and cultural identity continue to shape how societies respond, either by adapting, resisting, or redefining their place in the modern world. Globalization is a key concept that helps explain how places, people, and cultures are increasingly connected across the world. It examines the flow of goods, services, information, and cultural influences across borders, shaping how societies evolve and interact. While it offers opportunities for growth and exchange, it also raises critical concerns about cultural identity, power dynamics, and social change. To better understand these dynamics, it is important to explore how globalization interacts with cultural imperialism, the dominance of powerful cultures over less dominant ones, and how local communities resist this influence to preserve their heritage. Through the lens of globalization, cultural imperialism, and resistance, geography allows us to see how global forces influence local spaces and how people respond to protect their sense of identity, land, and culture. Globalization refers to the increasing interconnectedness of countries through trade, communication, technology, and the exchange of ideas and cultures. It has led to faster movement of goods, services, people, and information across borders. In the Philippines, globalization is seen in the widespread use of smartphones, social media platforms, international brands, and the rise of business process outsourcing, BPO, companies like call centers serving clients from the US and Europe. Filipino workers, especially overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, are also part of the global labor force, contributing to both the local and global economies. However, globalization often goes hand in hand with cultural imperialism, which happens when powerful countries dominate or influence the culture of less powerful nations, sometimes overshadowing or replacing local traditions, values, and identities. This is evident in the dominance of Western, especially American media in the Philippines. Hollywood movies, fast food chains like McDonald's and Starbucks, and English being widely used in education and media. While it brings modernization, it can also lead to the erosion of traditional Filipino customs, languages, and indigenous practices, especially among the youth who may adopt foreign trends over their own heritage. In response to this, many communities engage in resistance to preserve their cultural identity. Resistance can take many forms: reviving local languages, practicing indigenous rituals, promoting Filipino films and music, and integrating Filipino values in the education system. A notable example is the rise of Buwan ng Wika, Language Month, celebrations in schools, which emphasize the use of Filipino and regional languages to counter the dominance of English. Indigenous peoples such as the Ifugao, Aita, and Lumad also resist cultural homogenization by continuing their traditional ways of life and opposing projects that threaten their land and culture. Cultural festivals like the Kadayawan Festival in Davao or the Panag Benga Festival in Baguio are forms of cultural pride and resistance against cultural erasure brought by globalization. Thank you very much.